Hey guys, Silenthunder here, and today I'm going to bring you the long-waited for guide for setting up leatherworking for Trade Skill Master. Now the first thing that I want to stress is very important is to scan the auction house. You need a good set of database for things like crafting materials and the actual items that you're going to be selling. So I highly recommend that you use the Trade Skill Master application. However, if you decide not to do this, what you want to do is run the get all scan. And I suggest you reload your client before scanning. Then you can run your scan. And the get all scan is usually pretty quick. If it doesn't give you data, you're going to have to run the full scan. And also, you should do this every time. Definitely before you craft, if you're not using the Trade Skill Master application. But also a few times, different points of the day. Ideally, maybe once an hour while you're playing. And as you see here, the scan's done. It is strongly recommended that you reload your UI. So that's what we're going to do right now. Just do a reload. And your first scan of the auction house, if you're just a fresh install of Trade Skill Master, your first scan of the auction house is not going to be very accurate. The accuracy comes with multiple scans. So the more scans you have, the better, the more accurate data you're going to build for yourself. So now that we have that auction house scanned, first thing we're going to do, you see up on your mini map, we can open up Trade Skill Master and click on groups. Now right now this is empty. We can click this to expand it. It's still empty. So we're going to start with creating some groups for our leatherworking. And what we're going to do is actually open our leatherworking profession. We're going to click on TSM groups, and it may pop up for you automatically. If not, it says you currently don't have any groups set up. Type /TSM and click on the Trade Skill Master Groups button to set up TSM groups. We're actually going to use this button down here. It says Create Profession Groups for this guide. So you click that once, and it will populate in your chat saying Create a Profession Group for leatherworking. Now that we've done that, we can open up Trade Skill Master, click on Groups, and nothing's showing up here. So what we want to do is make sure that we expand this. And now we see that we have professions, and then we have a subgroup called leatherworking. And under leatherworking, we have two subgroups. One's called crafts, one's called materials. Now in our crafts group, if we click on it and click on items, we can see every single item that we can craft with our leatherworking profession in here. And if we click on materials and click on items, we can see all the materials used to craft those items. What we're going to start off with is creating some subgroups under crafts. We don't want all of our crafts in one big group. We may want to price things differently. We may want to stock more of certain items and less of others. So you click on crafts, click on management, and we're going to create a new subgroup. Let's name our first one Crafted Leveling. That's the newest PvP gear out at the moment. Craftable PvP gear, I should say. And then just hit enter or press OK. And now we have a new subgroup. We're going to go ahead and just make all of our subgroups now, and then we're going to add the items in after. So we go back to crafts, click on crafts again. This is important. If we are clicked on Crafted Malevolent and we go to management, we're going to make a subgroup below that. We want all of our subgroups right below crafts right now. So we click on crafts, click on management, new subgroup, and we'll call this one leg armor. That will be for our leg enchantments. All right, back to crafts. A lot of repetitiveness here. Click on management, new subgroup, and we'll call this one blue Procs. You'll see what this is going to be after. Back to crafts, management, new subgroup name. We'll call this one Crafted Greens. You can name these whatever you like. This is just what I currently use in my setup, just to identify each group for myself. You can also go back and change these names after if you need to. If you want to do that, you just click on whichever one you want to change the name to, click on management, and rename group right here. Alright, so back to crafts, management, new subgroup, and we'll call this one old content. So this is just everything that I can craft with my leatherworking basically that doesn't fall into one of these current groups that I have set up. So you can name it whatever you want, miscellaneous, anything will work. And let's see here, so crafted greens. I'm actually going to make a click on crafted greens, click on management. We're going to make a subgroup below this. I'm going to name this one crafting only, and you'll see why we need that subgroup here shortly. I'm also going to do the same thing under my old content, management, new subgroup, crafting only. So now we have some pretty good groups set up here for our leatherworking profession. So the next thing we need is to put items in them, I guess would be a start. We also will need to create operations so we can sell them and craft these items. So let's start by filling up these groups. So we're going to skip the blue procs for now, and we're going to go to crafted greens. Click on items, and here we're going to put things like storm scale. So I put everything except this blue one. So you can type under, once you click crafted greens, click items, and then you can click here and type in storm scale like I did, and just hit enter, and it will highlight everything. And then you can just click that one, it will unhighlight it. Now that we have everything that we wanted in this group for now, highlight it, just click add, and it puts them into this groups of items. The parent or ungrouped items is basically everything we have highlighted here, or sorry, under our crafts, because this is the parent group, and this subgroup items is the group that we have selected. So our crafted greens, we have our storm scale gear in there, and now we're going to put our mist-tide gear in here also. That's the benefit of leatherworking. It not only has leather gear, but you also get to craft mail gear. So here's our leather, just typed in mist-tide, hit enter, and now I'm going to click add. Now we have all of our mist-tide and storm scale gear in one group. Next we're going to go to crafted malevolent. We're going to skip this crafting only for now. Go to crafted malevolent, click on items, and I like to just type in malevolent, and it brings up everything that I can craft. You can do this with crafted dreadful, contenders. You can make all of your little subgroups if you like. Currently this is the only one I'm using. So then we click add, and now all of our crafted malevolent is in one group. Leg armor, items, and I'm just going to type in leg armor here and unclick all of the old content ones. Iron scale, anger hide, and one more, shadow leather. Alright, so anger hide, iron scale, and shadow leather are the current MOP leg armors from leatherworking. So now that I have those highlighted, I'm just going to click add and put them in my group. Next is old content. So click on old content, click on items, and what you can do here, what I did, is I went through and I looked at everything that I could craft that was bind on equip that I thought maybe I could sell. And I went completely through this list. There was a few things that I skipped, like comfortable insoles, for example, or anything that was bind on pickup. And I'm actually going to import my own list here, and I will share this with you guys, a link to it in the description of this video in case you want to import my list, or you can go through like I did and just pick out certain items that you want to craft just by clicking on them. And once you have everything that you want to craft clicked on, you just click add. So now that everything's unchecked, click clear selection as well. The next thing we're going to do is click on import export. I'm going to import a list that I already have for old content items, which I will share with you in the description of this video. To do this, we just click Import, Export, click on your import string where it's blank right here, and just hit Control V to paste your info in. And then you can either hit Enter or press OK. We're going to check off Move Already Grouped Items when we do this. So we post that in, checked off Move Already Grouped Items, and click OK. Now when I go to my items, I have all of my old content stuff that I like to craft in this group. Alright, so we have the old content done. We have our crafting only group here. I'm going to go to this crafting only group now and just take care of this right off the bat. Click on items, and the two items we're going to, or the two sets of items we're going to put in here are going to be Dark Brand. And we're just going to add all of those in. And Tsunami. Just type it in, hit enter, then click add. And now we have all our Dark Brand and Tsunami in here. And I'm going to explain why these are in a crafting only group later on. Same as, let's put these ones in now as well. So all of our Misttide gear and all of our Storm Scale gear. Just add those in. So to do that, just in case I did it too fast there, you click on your crafting only group, you click on items at the top, and then you just go through and select all of these items and then click add. And that's all the Misttide and all the Storm Scale. Anything else you have in your bags at the moment that is not in a group will be showing up in this list. So it may get confusing if you have full bags, but you can also just type in Misttide, add, and then Storm Scale, and just add them in that way. Either way will work. Alright, so we have our Crafted Greens group, we have items in it. We have our Crafted Malevolent group, we have our PvP gear in here. You may also want to add in your Dreadful gear or contenders if you like. Leg armor, we have our leg armors in here. Just double checking everything, old content items, and we have all of our old content. Okay, so we have our space groups set up for starting out. We can always expand on these later. We can delete them and start over, it doesn't matter. So these are a good set of starting groups for leatherworking. Next thing we need is some operations. So if you click on operations here, you see we need an auctioning operation. This will be for selling the items. And what the two we're going to focus on are auctioning and crafting. Crafting is just that, to craft these items and keep them in stock. Alright, where should we start? Let's just start at the top with blue procs. Now what a blue proc is, I'm going to explain to you right now, is when we are crafting leatherworking items, like Misttide gear, for example. I'm just going to craft a few here. Click create all, and you see that they're green. Hopefully it doesn't take too long here. But as we craft them, we have a 1 in 10% chance, or a 1 in 10 chance, which is basically 10%, to craft a blue item. I call them blue procs, which will have the same name as the greens, but they are blue, they're rare quality instead of uncommon, and they have slightly better stats. So let's see, there's one, there we go. Alright, so you see here, Misttide Shoulders of the Wind Fury, green, item level 384, and then we have the blue version. Misttide Shoulders of the Wind Fury, item level 415. Same name, different stats. So what we're going to do, as you craft these items, whether they are Misttide or Storm Scale, you're going to click on Trade Skill Master, go to your group, and then, for example, click on your blue procs. Click on items, and what we're going to do is look for that Misttide item. So I just scroll down, I'm using my mouse wheel, you can also drag the bar. And here it is. Misttide Shoulders of the Wind Fury, blue. I'm going to highlight that one item and put it into my blue proc group. The crafted greens work the same way. Click on your crafted greens, click on items, going to scroll down here until we find our Mist-Tide or Storm Scale items. And we're just going to highlight all of these and add them in. This is a bit more complicated, guys, and I wish I could give you an import list for these items. The only thing is that all of these items have the exact same import ID or export ID. They all have the same item number for the random enchants, which is unfortunate, but it means that we have to add them one at a time as we get them in our bags. Alright, so we have those, and the whole point, I'm going to go over this right now, of why we have a crafting only group is because if we click on items, we see that these are crafting only. Now we have our Mist-Tide gear over here. These are under crafted greens. These items are under crafting only. The reason why we do this is because when we sell the items, we want to sell, when we sell a Mist-Tide Shoulders of the Galeburst, we only want to undercut people that are selling Mist-Tide Shoulders of the Galeburst. If we leave this Mist-Tide Shoulders with no random enchant attached to it in this group, when we craft this item, or when we sell it rather, if we're selling Mist-Tide Shoulders of the Galeburst and somebody is selling Mist-Tide Shoulders of the Undertow much cheaper, we're going to undercut this one instead of just this one. So this is why I broke my groups up into this with a crafting only and then a crafted greens. And I do that with my old content and these ones. Anything that has a random proc. So this applies to pretty much all professions like jewel crafting, tailoring, leatherworking, and blacksmithing. So that's kind of a bit behind it. It is a bit confusing, but it's going to work to your benefit and make you more gold in the end if you set it up the way I have it here. Alright, so let's get away from this for a minute and start making some operations for these. So we have our blue procs here, we have our item in here for sale. We need to be able to post it on the auction house, because right now, if we go to the auction house and we click on auctioning tab, and there's no group here, just start a post scan. It's just not going to do anything. So we have these items in our bag. We want to sell them. So we need an auctioning operation. So we open up our Trade Skill Master, click on Module Operations at the top, and we're going to make an auctioning operation. So we're going to click on Operations, and we're going to name our operation. I name mine so that I can remember what it is when I get back to my group and I need to apply it. So I just name it the same, Blue Procs. Click Enter or hit OK. And what we're going to do here is we're going to click on Post. These are our post settings for when we sell the item on the auction house. I like to post mine for 24 hours. You can change it to 12 or 48. It's up to you. Post cap. How many of each item do you want to sell? So if we set our post cap to 2 and hit enter, it's very important to hit enter after we type anything into TSM to save the data. So if I put my post cap at 2, if I have more than 2 of a certain type of shoulder, like if I had 3 of the Wind Flurry in my bag, it's only going to post 2 of them. So that's the maximum amount we want to post at a time. Stack size, well, obviously these only go in stacks of 1, so we don't need to change that. Keep quantity, if you wanted to keep a certain amount of an item in your bag instead of selling everything, well, you could raise that. I never use this option, but it's there if you need it. Auction price settings, so your bid percent. So when we list an item on the auction house, let's say we list it for 100 gold. Do we want our bid to also be 100 gold? If so, leave it at 100%. I like to put my bid slightly lower, so I use 95%. 95%, and then again, hit enter. Next, the undercut amount. I like to leave all of my items at 1 copper. Sometimes I do 1 silver, 2 silver. There's no point in making like a 1 gold or 2 gold undercut on items. You're just going to drive down the prices for yourself and for everyone else. So try to keep your undercut around one copper to maybe a couple of silver max. Post price setting, so the minimum price, the minimum we want to sell the item for. Generally what I like to do for my crafted items is something very simple, and that's 110% space crafting. And then hit enter. And what this does is it will not sell an item on the auction house below 110% of my crafting costs. So 100% of my crafting costs, I basically break even. Then we have 5% for auction house cut. And then I like to make at least 5% profit minimum. So what we can do is set 110% of crafting as our minimum price. Normal price for these, for my crafted greens. I guess we're doing blue procs, aren't we? Well then, scratch that. Okay, for blue procs, since we can't craft this item, we can't use 110% crafting. We have to use a fixed gold amount. For my blue procs, I do a minimum price of 245 gold. Now you can adjust this, you can lower it or raise it, up to you. The reason why we can't use percent of crafting here is because if we open up our leatherworking and we try to find mist-hide shoulders of the wind flurry in here, we're not going to find it. All we see is a green mist-hide shoulders. So we can't actually locate this item in our crafting profession book, so we can't use percent of crafting for that item. Sorry for the confusion there. So minimum price 245 gold. I like to use a maximum price of 1600 gold. So 1600 and then put the G afterwards and hit enter. And then the normal price I use is 1,295 gold. So basically what these three prices mean is the minimum you're willing to sell it for, the maximum amount you would post the item for. So if somebody's selling one for 1,700 gold, you're not going to undercut them. You're only going to go up as far as 1,600 gold before you undercut. Now your normal price is just that. Like if nobody is selling the item on the auction house currently, you're the only one, this is what it's going to post it at. If somebody's selling one for 500 gold, well, you're going to undercut by 1 copper and post it for 499 gold, 99 silver, 99 copper. So that's what the three prices mean here. And when below minimum, so if it's below your minimum price, what do you want to do? This is up to you. You can either not post the item, you can post it at your minimum price, you can post it at your maximum price, or you can post it at your normal price, or you can ignore auctions below your minimum. So in that case, if somebody's selling it for 200 gold, you're not going to undercut them, obviously, it's below your minimum. But if somebody else is selling one for 500 gold, what it will do is still undercut them. So I like to use ignore auctions below minimum. And when it's above your maximum, what do you want to do? If somebody's selling it for a crazy price, maybe they have one listed for 50,000 gold. Obviously you don't want to undercut them. That's why it's important to set an accurate maximum price for the item you're selling. I like to leave mine at post at normal. Often people will also use post at maximum. So there's no right or wrong there. It's completely preference, up to you. Alright, so we have our posting operation made for our blue procs. Next, what else do we have in our group here? Groups, so blue procs. Next is crafted greens. So we're going to go back to our module operations, auctioning. Click on operations, and we'll do our crafted greens. Why not? Crafted greens. Enter. So now we have two operations here. So we're going to make sure our crafted greens is highlighted. Click on post. Now again, I'm going to post mine for 24 hours. Post cap of 2. Enter. Bid percent. 95%. Enter. Leave my undercut at 1 copper. Now here's where I'm going to use 110% of crafting. Don't think you need a space in there, but I'm used to putting the space. So 110% space crafting for my minimum. My maximum, I use 1000% crafting. And for my normal price, I like to use 600% of crafting. So there, you'll see a lot of crafting, percent of crafting in my operations for anything that I craft that I can actually use percent of crafting for. Because this ensures that I do not sell the item below what it cost me to craft. And when below minimum, I actually don't post these items because they're crafted greens. I like to keep them in my bags or disenchant them and get some fresh stock going instead of leaving all kinds of items on the auction house that possibly aren't going to sell. When above maximum, I post at normal, so I don't actually change these ones on this one. You can play around with it and see what works best for you, and I encourage you to do that. This is just a general guide to give you something to compare to and see how someone else sets it up. Alright, so I'm going to click back on operations, and let's make our PvP gear operation. So crafted level. Enter. Make sure that we're highlighted on crafted malevolent here. We're going to click on post. And I like to post my PvP gear for 12 hours. It has a higher posting fee than some of the other items. So I like to post it at 12 hours. And chances by then, on my server, there's a good chance I'm going to be undercutting that amount of time anyway. So I do 12 hours. I have my post cap set at 2 again. Bid percent, I like 95%. Undercut, I leave at 1 copper. Minimum price, I do 110% of crafting. Enter. Maximum price, I have it written down in front of me here, 3000% of crafting. I don't think the capitals matters, but just gonna do it this way anyway. So 3000% crafting, and my normal price is 1000% of crafting. Enter, and I don't change anything else. These items have a higher posting fee, like I said, so when the items show up below my minimum price, which does happen occasionally, I don't post the items, and I put them in my bank until I can repost them and make a profit and not sell them for a loss. So I don't post my items and post at normal price for crafted malevolent. Next, we're going to click on operations. Operation name, we're going to name this one maybe Leatherworking Leg Armor, something to that extent. Enter. We're going to click on, just make sure that it's always highlighted for the one that you want to edit. So right now it's highlighted on Leatherworking Leg Armor. Click post. I'm going to post mine for 24 hours. I like to post them 2 at a time. Stacks of 1, because these you could sell in stacks, but I want to sell in stacks of 1. And also, since we're speaking of stack size, right now, let's click on General for this one. And you see here under General, it says Match Stack Size. If checked, auctioning will ignore all auctions that are posted at a different stack size than your auctions. For example, if there are stacks of 1, 5, and 20 up, and you're posting in stacks of 1, it'll ignore all stacks of 5 and 20. So this is very important, because if somebody's selling a stack of 2 significantly cheaper than the singles are going for, well, we don't want to undercut that stack of 2. We want to undercut the other singles because most people buy these 1 at a time. So match stack size for this item. Okay, now we can go back to post. And that was just over both the stack size there. And now I'm going to change my bid percent to 95% again. Enter. My minimum price for these items is going to be 110% of crafting. So 110% crafting. Hit enter or press OK. Either one will work as long as you do one or the other. Maximum price. Just trying to find mine here. I have it set, my maximum price, a fixed price actually here, 2,000 gold. And my normal price is 400% crafting. I'm actually going to change this, because this may give you guys errors if you do this. So let's go 700% crafting here. Just in case your normal price ends up higher than your maximum, you'll get an error. So if we keep it like this, we're going to make sure that you don't get any errors. So 110% crafting, 700% crafting, 400% crafting. Now there's one thing that we need to take care of right now. Leg armors use a material called Spirit of Harmony. Spirit of Harmony. And in order for this item to have a material price, I recommend you set this right now. So up top on Trade Skill Master, we're going to click on Crafting. We're going to click on Materials. We're going to click Search, Spirit of Harmony, and it comes up right here. I want you to click on that item with left click, and then this will probably be blank for you. I want you to put in a value here of what a Spirit of Harmony is worth to you. I have mine listed at 150 gold. You can put in whatever you want. You just type in the number, 125 G for gold, then hit enter, and you'll see up top here your map price will change. This is very important if you want to use percent of crafting on anything that has Spirit of Harmony in it. Because it's a soul-bound item, it's not something we can buy off the auction house, so we can't scan the auction house and get a material price for an item like this, so we have to set it ourselves. Alright, now that we have that done, you can just click the X to close it. We're going to click back on module operations here, go back to auctioning, and back to our leatherworking leg armor. We're going to click on post, and let's see, where are we? So 110% crafting, 700% crafting, 400% crafting. When below minimum, don't post the items. When above maximum, post at normal. That's exactly what I use right there. Alright, so now that that's done, we're going to click on operations. We're going to make a new operation. This one, I name it Old Content Leatherworking. Not necessarily all old content, but it's kind of like just a mix of things that don't fall into any of these groups I already have. So, old content leatherworking, okay. Click on post. First click on general actually, and we're going to match stack size for this. Then click on post. Duration, I like to leave my old content items up for 24 hours. I post cap of 2. Stack size 1, bid percent, I always use 95%. Undercut amount, 1 copper. I only need to undercut by 1 copper to sell an item. And post price setting. So my minimum price, you'll find that I use 110% of crafting here. My maximum price is actually 10,000 gold. I use a fixed value here. Oh, I use 100% crafting plus 10,000 gold. So what this is my crafting cost basically, to cover my crafting cost, plus 10,000 gold. And you can do different things here. This is just what I've chosen to do. And my normal price is a little different again. Just delete that. And what I have in here is min, M-I-N for minimum, with a bracket or parentheses, whatever you want to call it, 800%. It's a 9. 800% crafting with a comma and then a space. And then I put 100% crafting plus 5,000 gold. End the bracket or parentheses and hit enter. So what this is going to do, I'm just going to go over it with you here, is it's going to take the minimum value within the brackets. We have 2 different prices in here. We have either 800% crafting and then we have a comma which separates them. So we have 800% of crafting, or we have 100% of crafting plus 5,000 gold. So whichever one is lower is the one it's going to take. That's what the minimum does. And that is it for this one, I believe. I don't post items when below. Actually, on my old content stuff, I don't want to fill my bags up with this stuff. If it's below my minimum, I actually use post at normal for this. When below minimum, post at normal. When above maximum, post at normal. This is what I use. You can find what works best with you. If you have lots of bank space, maybe you don't want to list items on the auction house if they're if you may not sell them, and then you can just leave it at don't post items. But I like to get them out of my bags and store them on the auction house, so I use post at normal. All right, let's apply these auctioning operations to our groups. So click on groups. We'll start with the first one, blue procs. So click on blue procs. And right here under operations, it should be lit up. If not, make sure you click operations at the top. We're going to click override module operations for auctioning. And under our drop down list, we're going to select our blue procs. We're going to click on our crafted greens. We're going to override and put our crafted greens here. Now on our crafting only group, we want to click on this and we want to override and we want to have no operation because we don't want to sell the items in this group, only in this group. This is our crafting only group. So just follow those steps. You click on your crafting only, operations, override, and then select no operation. Next is our crafted malevolent. Click on override, select our operation, crafted malevolent. Next is our leg armor, override, under our leatherworking leg armor operation. Next will be the old content, override, and old content leatherworking. And then we go back to this crafting only, and again we click on override and we want no operation. No operation for our crafting only groups. Alright, so now we have auctioning operations. Now that we have the auctioning operations applied to the groups, we should be able to go to the auction house now. Click on our auctioning tab, and now we see we have different groups here. Anything that we have a group for is showing up, so we can deselect all our groups or select all our groups. So if they're selected, we can now start a post scan. That will take a second, and as you can see, I already have some listed for these items because I sell them regularly. There's only one here that, well, a couple that want to post, and then I could just click the post button 3 times and it would post all 3 items. I don't want to do that from this tune, so I'm not going to. Okay, so now we're able to sell our items, but now we need to craft them and keep them in stock. So there may be items that we ran out of, that we sold off the auction house. We don't want to be keeping track of our mail to see what we've sold. We want the add-on to do that for us. So we're going to click on module operations, click on crafting, click on operations, and we're going to name one. So we'll start with the blue procs. Oh, never mind, ignore that, we can't make one. Let's start with crafted malevolent. So we typed in crafted malevolent, either hit enter or press OK. And it should take you so that crafted malevolent is highlighted here. And we start on general. Minimum restock quantity. I like to leave mine at 1. What that means is if you sell 1, it crafts 1. If you set that to say 5, you would need to sell 5 of the item before it would restock. For something like crafted malevolent gear, maximum restock quantity, right now I do 1 of each item. We're at the end of an expansion here, so I'm only stocking 1 of each for now. So I type in 1, hit enter, set minimum profit. what's the minimum amount of gold we want to make by crafting one of these items? I like to make at least 25 gold. You can set yours higher or lower, it's completely up to you. If you uncheck this, you could lose 500 gold and it would still craft this item. So if you want to set a minimum profit, if you want to break even, you would put in 0C for 0 copper and hit enter. If you want to make at least 25 gold like I do, you would put in 25G and hit enter. So your minimum profit. And that's basically all there is to a crafting operation. It's very simple. How many of the item you want to stock and your minimum profit. So let's click on operations and we'll do crafted greens, hit enter. General, how many do we want to stock? I like to stock 5 of these. They're great sellers. There's lots of random enchants that you can get. So by stocking 5 or even 10, we may not have all the same. Like even with 5, I probably have 5 different shoulders in my bags right now. I have 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 different shoulders in my bag right now. So, I mean, even restocking 5 of these items may not cover all the random enchants, and it's completely random. You may craft 5 and get 5 the same, which is very unfortunate, but it can happen. So, I like to restock 5, and my minimum profit for these is I actually set no minimum profit. I uncheck this. I don't want a minimum profit. I forgot to hit enter. See that? How it went back to 3? So you type in 5, hit enter. Otherwise it doesn't save. I set no minimum profit because quite often these will show up as not being profitable to craft, these crafted greens. But that's because it is looking at the cheapest one that's on the auction house and saying that's the price of all of them. And we're going to have different enchants that are available. And when we're posting them on the auction house, we can see some of them may be selling cheap, 55 gold, or maybe in this case nobody's selling them at all and I get to post it for whatever I want, which would be 120 in this case. You know, so what it's going to do is if this is what it's scanned on the auction house, it's going to say they're all worth 55 gold, which obviously isn't the case. They're different prices because they're different random enchants. So we're going to open TSM back up here, go back to my module operations crafting, and we were working on our crafted greens. So I set no minimum profit for this item. If you decide to set a minimum profit, I recommend something low, maybe 5 gold or 10 gold. Personally, I like no minimum profit. This is what works best for me. So next we need another operation. Let's see, what are we missing? Old content. Click OK. Maximum restock quantity on my old content items is 1. I stock 1 of everything. My minimum profit is actually set a little higher on my old content. Set at 35 gold before I want to craft those items. 35 gold minimum profit. Again, this is just a guide. You can do higher or lower, completely up to you. And now we're missing 1. What is it? Leg armors. Leg armor. Now, with leg armors, you can only craft them if you have Spirit of Harmony in stock. So keep that in mind. Maybe you want to stock 10. 10 of each. It's completely up to you. I think I have mine set to 20, but I don't always get to craft them because I don't always have the Spirit of Harmony available. So let's say 10. Set minimum profit. What's our minimum profit going to be on crafting a leg armor? This is completely up to you. I'm going to put in a random number of 30 gold. 30 gold minimum profit. And that's it. I think we have them all covered. We have our old content, we have our leg armor, our PvP gear, and our crafted greens. So let's go back to groups. Now again, like I said, a blue proc, we cannot put a crafting operation on it because we can't find it in our profession book. So it's not going to be listed in here for the blue ones, only for the green ones. So we're going to skip that. We can't put a crafting operation on it, but we can still keep an auctioning operation on it. And as we craft them, remember, we just add the items in from our items list here and just put them in. So crafted greens, we can do crafting operations. So we're going to click on crafted greens, operations, override module operations for crafting this time. Make sure it's on crafting. And we're going to find our crafted greens and check that off. Now we can skip our crafting only because this will, by applying this operation to the group, the parent group up here, this subgroup below it will automatically pick up that crafted greens operation. So we'll skip to our crafted malevolent, override module operations for crafting, and select our crafted malevolent. Next, our leg armor, override leg armor, old content, override old content. There, we're completely set up now. We are ready to go. We can open up our profession book. We can click on TSM groups. We see we have groups here with crafting operations applied to them. And we can hit restock selected groups. Uh-oh, nothing happened. Don't panic. Click show queue at the top. And here you can see all of the items that we need to craft. Now you see how mine says filtered here. If we click on professions, there's a button here that says clear filters. That just means that we had something either typed in here, or we had a filter like we were only searching for headpieces at the time. So if that happens to you, just hit clear filters under professions, and we can see everything we need to craft here. So all this PvP gear I'm sold out of, the living shoulders I need to craft. Anything that's green means I have the mats in my bag to craft it. Anything that's yellow, which I don't have any here, but they would show up below the green, it means we have some of the mats in our bag to craft it, but not enough to craft everything we need to craft. And then if they show up red like these guys here, it means that we need to acquire mats. We have maybe some of the mats, like in this case I have the volatile fire in my bags, but I only have 5 heavy savage leather, so I need to get 5 more to be able to craft this item. Also, in our crafting queue, items are sorted, so our highest profit item will be at the top. You see the profit on my item here is 2,199 gold. And then the lower profit items will be at the bottom. And here we see 150 gold profit is one of my lower items. Same thing with the ones that you can't craft. Highest profit at the top, according to this one's 51,000 gold profit. Obviously that's a little high, and we have our add-on set up. Our auctioning operation is set up to ignore that overpriced item. So it would post at a maximum of our crafting cost plus 5,000 gold profit. So don't worry, we took care of things like that with these operations set up. And then our lowest profit at the bottom, which in this case, you guys recall, I used 35 gold minimum profit, and you see this one's showing 36 gold profit to craft. Alright, so now that we can go ahead and we can either click our craft next button and it will start crafting these items and put them in our bags. Or let's say, okay, I want to skip down and I want to craft these living shoulders next. Well, if I craft next, it's going to start at the top. But what I can do is click on these living shoulders and it's going to jump to those and craft those for me. Let that finish. Alright, so we're missing some materials. Now I'm going to quickly show you, this video is getting kind of long, so I'm just going to quickly show you a tip here. We need some materials here. We can click on gather. Now I have a whole video about using the gather feature, so I'm not going to go over this too much in this one. You can find it on my YouTube channel if you want to learn more. But we can click start gathering. We can go to the auction house. Hit our shopping tab at the bottom, and then gather items. And it will start looking for some of the things that we need, And we see here, Magnificent Hide shows up. We want to stay at 100% of map price or below. In this case, I'm not guaranteed to make a profit if I buy this item. It's very important to stay at 100% of map price or below. You could look through and see what else you needed here. Maybe a Chaos Orb, click on that. Okay, here we go, map price, percent of map price. It is either 100% or below. I know that I can buy this item and not lose gold. So if it's over 100%, be very careful buying those materials. You want to stay at 100% of your map price or below. And I guess that's it for this one, guys. I tried to get into as much detail and explain as many things as possible. It is a bit of a long setup video, but I hope you guys find it useful. Just taking a look at my list here, make sure I didn't forget anything. I guess I got about everything. If you guys have any questions or if you're stuck on something, feel free to stop by my live stream, which will be linked in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed the guides, and looking forward to more.